So that was a fun experience, and it's when I realized it's not about you having a good life balance. It's about you not letting your life intervene in your work. And for me, it's one thing. Life and work is only one thing. I don't know what you think.
It should be the opposite way. Work should not interfere with your life. Work should not
Exactly.
interfere with your kids growing up, and if they need you, you should be able to go to them and talk them. So we wanted to talk about how do we work together and life and work balance, because I think Carlos has a pretty different perspective of what is work-life balance. You'd like to start?
Well, I think we should start with how we met. So Ana Laura, she's my wife, and we met actually being customer and provider. I was the technical account manager for her. We met, and eventually, when other things happened, we ended up together. And one of the things that we found, I think, do you agree, is like we have very different approach to the work-life balance from at the beginning. I am what I call a lifeaholic, and for me, work and life, there is no balance because it's the same thing. You just, you live and work. So I'm pretty good at, going to a coffee place and be with the family or having lunch with the family and having to answer a quick email. I will do it without problem. I can move on from one task to the other. So from moving from a work task to something with the family very easy. And for me, that is the balance. But I feel like you see it differently sometimes.
Yes, going back when we met, I was working from 8 to 5, and most day I will stay at the office until 8 or 9 p.m. And I consider myself a workaholic. I love my job. I, I'm very passionate when I get a problem, I tackle it until I finish it. And I was doing all that, and I was being paid 18,000 a year for that. And I had some issues at the office, and this is another topic that we want to talk about. Um, and we decided to, we will talk about that later. We decided to, I will quit my job, and we will find a way that I could be in the US so we can have a real relationship, not a long distance relationship. So I moved here and I started studying, and I discovered a different way of living, actually. I had time to go for a walk in the mornings. Then I will make something for lunch for us, and actually enjoying life more than working. Um, Today we wake up, we have a little breakfast together, and then we walk upstairs to our office. Carlos is usually sitting next to me here, and we will go to separate rooms and if we have meetings, so we can talk. Um, he talks very loudly, so if
I do,
we
I
both
do.
if we both have meetings, we need to be in separate rooms. But most of the time, we are together all day, every day.
That's the fall of Taekwondo. I was an instructor in Taekwondo for about 10 years, and you have to be loud and you have to be energetic and you have to, you know, use a lot of up and downs in your voice to keep the kids engaged. And I became that when I was talking. But going back to the life balance, something that I, I am believing right now. I don't think I thought about this way forever, but lately I do think life balance is more, I will say it in a weird way, a construct of corporations to have you decide not to live your life while you're working. Because if you see is everything that is said, written, and done about life work balance is take your work and separate it from your life. And it's more take your life and separate it from the work. Don't get distracted with your kids. Don't get distracted with your wife. Don't get distracted with what you actually want to do during my 8 hours, 6, 7 hours. And I do believe that objectives are way more important than time sitting on a chair. And I did that for. I was lucky with my previous employer because they had an open vacation policy. It was a distributed company, and for the longest time, it was easy to do where I could meet with a customer while we were having lunch. Like we were having lunch, we went to a restaurant. I had a meeting that's 30 minutes, 20 minutes. I can tackle that meeting, get some task for myself that I will resolve whether I can do it on my cell phone or I can do it on my computer. I will. My customers knew that. At some point, I remember I was interviewed for a company that was the first time they ghost me. They did it a second time later, but they said that it was too low. What I said, I was in a coffee place. It is the holidays. I was with my mom, taking her for the first time to see the snow, and I accepted. I will take the interview while we are traveling. I don't have a problem with that because I mean, why not? So we stopped for a second, took the interview, and they said that what I got is you were in a coffee place. What if you do that to a customer? And I can only think if I do that to my customers, we probably will talk about coffee for 5 minutes, especially if they are coffee buff, like sometimes me and my friends sometimes are. We will discuss coffee from Colombia, coffee from Costa Rica, which one is better, Colombia, of course. And and then we will go into topics, and after the meeting is done we will continue doing what we're doing. If it's something urgent, I will tell my family, okay, this needs to be taken care of right now, and I will do it. If it's not, I will do it. And my customers know. So that was a fun experience, and it's when I realized it's not about you having a good life balance. Is about you not letting your life intervene in your work. And and for me, it's one thing. Life and work is only one thing. I don't know
It
what you
should
think.
be the opposite way. Work should not interfere with your life. Work should not
Exactly.
interfere with your kids growing up. And if they need you, you should be able to go to them and talk them. And that is amazing about working from home. And I wish everybody could do it. We know not all the jobs are suitable to be home remote works. But it for me is amazing. It's been amazing to live with Carlos, with my husband, and work with him. And we can do things like if we feel down or we feel slowing down our afternoon, we can go and drive a little and find a good place to finish the afternoon, or just to have a conversation between us. We we talk a lot. We spend a lot of time driving together, and well, pretty much Carlos drive and I am the co-pilot. um, but we talk a lot about Drupal, and we talk a lot about the community, and the culture that is around this community is pretty amazing. How my boss have his kids on our meetings, and we say good morning to them every morning, pretty much. How we have babies in our team that just sit next to a developer during the day because he has to take care of him because something happened that day. um, and that's life. And work is part of your life. It's not the other way.
And I think that's what is important about Drupal is all these, I think, is a catalyst or being Drupal has been the catalyst for me to get to this. I always been like this. I am the one that will advise anybody, if you have an 8 to 5 job, do not be there 15 minutes early every day. I know it sounds counter to what everybody says, but I'm a true believer. If you are there 15 minutes early every day, the day you are on time at 8, you're late. or if you're 810 because you need to do something, they're going to go after you. So it's keep your life, and it's Drupal who gave me this enhanced view of how important people is, and I love that about Drupal. And all these that we're talking about, it's funny because it sounds easy, or maybe it sounds like we are in complete agreement very easily, but if not, we are so different. And I think we also need to talk about that. So we're a couple. We both do Drupal, each of us in our own thing. I'm starting Palsera, Ana Laura helps me. I'm doing some customer work as a Drupal architect, and she works as a web developer, senior web developer for another company. And we do not do things the same way. So sometimes you would think, oh, that is nice. You have a developer that can help you as an architect, or you have an architect that can help you as a developer, but that is not all the time true because we see things so differently. And I think that is the biggest challenge for every other couple, that is working in Drupal together. I don't know if you agree, Ana Laura.
Oh, yeah, we are completely different. Carlos is spontaneous and kind of like non-predictable. I like to have a structure and then make a list and know where we are going next day, where we're going to eat. I like to have everything like laid down before I get to sit and finish a task. I do a lot of documentation on my tickets, and even if they're only for me, I will make all this list of things that needs to be done. I try to help Carlos with this. I'm the note taking while we are driving. I will take little notes for him, and he loves that. But he won't do it by for himself most of the time.
Yeah, it's different. You are creative, I'm logical. I think that is a big difference. And
That's another difference. Yeah.
yeah, and we can, talk about our other project that started as a hobby. It's the website, a Drupal couple, where
Yes.
at some point we wanted to write, we wanted to do things together for the community. We both are in our jobs, but we both are very involved in the community. And Laura is a longtime mentor in DrupalCon. I mean, I
Not
don't
as
know,
long as you.
6 years. I don't mentor. Because if I mentor, I have to mentor. I don't know. I
Well,
like to be, like you said, my ADHD does not allow me to be in a room mentoring. I love helping people, but my ADHD will not allow me to stay there. I've tried and I get very restless. So now I mentor through you because I sometimes if you find something that is difficult, Ana Laura will call me and I'll try to
yeah.
help, or I'm mentoring some other people in other things. But we started a Drupal couple to do something more community oriented and publish stuff. And it has been a challenge to write together. One of the things that we wanted was to write together. And right now, a Drupal couple is more me, but it's because I can get a topic and let it go without thinking it's perfect, maybe. And sometimes I just release stuff that is not as good, but hey,
And
I
I'm
think,
the perfectionist. I want it to be perfect. And I wanted to read it 3 times before we publish something and change little punctuation and wording and everything to be perfect. And it's been challenging for me, really. I I've been struggling with my job for the last year or two. I Carlos said senior developer. I don't um, see myself as a senior developer. Um, I'm not perfect. Maybe that's the issue. And I'm trying to write more for the Drupal couple, but I question myself all the time. I don't know if somebody's gonna read it or if somebody's gonna care what I think. But who knows? Maybe they do.
yeah, and we've been thinking about expanding that, right? Like invite other couples. I think it would be interesting to see, you work in Drupal and you have your family, and your family doesn't do Drupal. It it is a different experience. They will not know when you're busy. They cannot understand your issues. When something happens in Drupal and there is Drupal drama, you cannot talk to anybody at your house because it's just foreign to them. But having a partner that does Drupal is so interesting because, as Ana Laura said, I don't think that is in the recording. We love road trips. We drove to Atlanta. We did the whole drive from Houston to Biloxi, from Biloxi to Augusta to see a friend, and then to Atlanta, and then back. So that was each way like 14, 13 hours. And we talk about Drupal 80% of the time. And we can talk about what we want from the community, what we are trying to do with the Houston community, what's happening with the Texas community, what is happening with the Latin American community, because we are both originally from Latin America, and we are in the US. So we have our hearts, in both communities, the US community and the Latin American community. What plans do we have? What do we want to do? You cannot do that when you don't have a partner that does Drupal, and I believe that is very interesting. So we wanted to open a Drupal couple for other couples and see their own experiences, because I don't know if it's the same like ours.
And I think there's more couples like us than we thought. When we start talking about inviting other people and looking for friends that are married and both work with Drupal or whatever, live together. And there are a couple of people that we know that um, they may ride with us in a Drupal couple, and it is different. Um,
Yeah, yeah, it's very interesting. To give an idea and moving into other things is something that I've been doing a lot, and I know you're gonna hear different perspective from the two of us. Is when I write, and I've been very open about this. I use AI a lot, and now lately I've been discovering how much AI can do for coding. We both have different views there, but I would love to for you and Laura to tell people what you think, because it's a
yeah,
very interesting point.
I I was more scared at the beginning of using AI. More worry about the creative rights. When you are creating content, where is the AI taking the information and how is violating the rights of who originally created that? But the way that Carlos uses the AI is more like a tool, like any other tool. Like he's guiding the AI all the way from the beginning. He doesn't allow the AI to write anything that was not his own idea, his own conceptualization. And it takes a lot of work, actually. It takes 2 or 3 days to finish a paper for Carlos, even using the AI. It helps a lot in the way. It helps a lot with the research. It helps with connecting ideas and doing some of the work that, as Carlos says, having HDAD won't allow him to write as much as he's doing it right now without the help of AI.
Yeah, I started not wanting to use AI when I was in the university. I believe second semester, we got this book about AI and the dangers of AI. This is 1991, and from that day, I said we should never do it. I mean, this is a mistake trying to get AI. I read today that MIT is finally releasing, I believe it's called SEAL, SEAL model, that actually can learn and improve itself, and it creates code to improve itself. And if it's good, it keeps it. If it's not, discards it. And that I don't want. I don't think we want to have, if we go kind of sci-fi, have a sentient being that doesn't have moral codes or whatever we humans have. Although some, we're not getting into that, but I feared AI, and but I needed some help, so I tried it, and I discovered that A is what we call in Spanish a asistente or dumb assistant for me. I see the problems with AI, and we've been discussing about this. It's like what's going to happen with AI in 2 years, as AI is today, is that we all are going to be fixing AI issues. And the problem with AI is that people just comes and wants to AI to write a document about Drupal. AI is
People
gonna.
people think that AI is like a wonder wand. Like it's going to do magic. You just tell him what you need and it will going to build it. And we experienced that past weeks with your little brother trying to build a tool for him. He thought this was going to be just one afternoon and it was done.
Oh yeah, that was an interesting experience because I needed I had to tell him like you trust too much on this AI. It's not it is smart, but it's not that smart. And that's what people is doing, like and I've demonstrated this and actually did it in probably live in a video with somebody about resumes, and when we were talking about that, I started doing my resume and on all this stuff with AI. I moved into writing for the blog, and now I'm actually doing code with it. I'm actually vibe coding and on my own way. But one of the things that I show, can't remember who, but I show that person is like you can ask him, and I ask AI, empty AI, no context, no nothing else. Is write a resume for Carlos Ospina, who was a technical account manager for 10 years for a Drupal job. And it brought 2 pages of a resume, and it was an amazing resume. It only had a problem, had nothing to do with what I have done. It was full of perfect skills and perfect sentences, and the little summary on the top, I can't remember the word, was amazing. And it's like, I've never done this. There is
But
none of my experience there.
but it helped with your self-esteem, I think. Some of the things that the AI said about you, you were like never going to write that for a resume. But when you read it, it was fair. It was
But,
fair to put that
but
you
that
have
only
all that
happened when I
experience.
started making AI write what I wanted.
Yeah,
What I was mentioning, if you just let it go, it will do whatever. And that's
yeah,
what's happening. I see people like, oh, I can create a Drupal module with AI. Look, I just told it to do a module that did this, and it worked. I've seen people doing stuff. AI is pretty quick with React, and if you use Claude AI, it will provide in the canvas, a game. You can tell it to do a game. Somebody told me I asked it to do a kind of Mario Bros game, and it did it and automatically showed it in AI. Yes, that can happen, but you don't know what is happening in the back. And that's the problem. So for me, AI, as you said, is a tool, is something that I don't let move forward until I'm ready to let it move forward. And it has to be, so my main rule that I made now, a rule for AI, is do not lie, do not exaggerate, do not invent anything. Just use what I have said or what we have researched. And I have to keep reminding AI about that, because from now, from time to time, it goes and creates something, and I'm reading and like, where the hell did you get that?
yeah. I remember for me, it gave me a double negative in one case, and we only needed one negative comparison conditional, and that was screwing up with the code, right? That's the kind of things that AI will do. So what we have discussed is if you don't know anything about what you will do, AI could do a mess for you and you will not know what it's doing. If you know how to write the code, probably you don't need the AI and you could write it by yourself and don't worry about AI things. But if you are a developer trying to learn a new language, you just need to guide it. You just need to go through best practices, coding standards with the AI, but the logic of the programming is in the human part of that. So keep human in the loop. Maybe is the
Yeah, that's something that I like about the AI initiative that we have in Drupal and the way AI has been done in Drupal. And actually, I recently did a Salesforce ECA, the ECA module integration, and I released it, and it's working, and I test the actions, and they work, and I did it 100% with AI, and this wasn't sit down and tell Claude to create this module. This was a good 2 weeks of work because what I'm using AI for is to quickly understand what the Salesforce module does, for example. I was a developer. I was trained as a developer. I started as a developer in 1987. I graduated as a software engineer in 1995, or I finished my career in 1995. But I stopped developing probably around 1998. So I'm not a developer. I became more of an architect, or what I call an architect, or the developer for the developers, where I will, and that was my job for the longest time before I moved into other areas, networking, security, etc. Well, anyway, you need to know what you're doing. I remember doing this module. I saw, so I started like asking AI, okay, before we do anything, we need to know what we're gonna write about or we're gonna connect to. So go read the ACA module, go read the Salesforce module, and find out how they do this, which I wanted. Like initially, I wanted a little action for SOQL queries, which is a little queries that you can send to Salesforce and get any information from their entities and everything that they have. And as I saw the AI, I like to see, I like it when it shows what it's doing and thinking. And as I see, it's doing all the analysis, and I could see there was this little object that was specifically for that. And at the end of the research, I asked it, okay, so what I want to do is do an action on ECA, an ECA action that allows people to send an SOQL query through the Salesforce module. And it did it. And when I was reading what it was writing, I realized it's using a completely different method. It's using a completely different class, a completely different, all was through another class that Salesforce has that will have work. And this is the problem. It will have work,
works.
but it wasn't the right way to do it. And that's the difference. When you have human in the loop, I believe that is the power of AI. It's a tool that can improve your productivity, that can improve the writing of the code, right? And but you have to be knowledgeable. So when I see all these magic prompts and you just need to ask AI to help you, it's like it's not gonna happen. I mean, it's incredible. I had a customer that was a complete. I mean, and Laura may have feared AI. He was a complete rejection of AI.
Yeah.
And I taught him how to use Cloud Desktop, and I showed him what I was doing. He's no, I don't need that. Then it is like, I played a little bit with Copilot. Show me what you do, and now he has a full setup. And I remember the moment that changed for him is he asked his own AI already looking at the file system, and it was a website that he made, and like explain this custom module, and it's a custom module that he made 10 years ago or something like that, and he was looking at that like, Carlos, this is incredible. I made this module. That is what it does. That's exactly what the module does. So AI is pretty good to do that and help you, move forward, understand if you're looking for debugging something, guide it to debug what is the problem. You need to guide it. You need to be there because if you just ask it, find the bug that creates this error, it may go in a different direction. So I don't know. We've been seeing AI differently. I'm using it for everything, but you're still hesitant to use it.
I am. I hate it. Every time that I try to write something, I just get lost or he get lost. I don't know. I don't get the results that I'm expecting. And it's frustrating for me.
Yeah, I think it's a matter of context and, keep it. I use projects in Claude and I try to, every time I discover something that is confusing and it is getting me angry, I would put in an instructions or a document that it can read, like, don't do this, do not do that. And it's the only way.
Yeah, but we have talked about this before. Your brain works more like the computer's works. My brain, it's a creative brain. I go from one place to another place in making connections from things that maybe are not related until I get the best answer that I could came up with. Um, and AI doesn't help me with that. It's it doesn't feel good for me when I'm working with AI. I use it sometimes. I actually I love how Claude make analysis of how does a module work or how does something is on your code, especially in Drupal. A Drupal website can grow really fast because you install all these different modules and modules are created by different people, and then you easily can end up with something that is not tuned to work together. And Cloud does a really good job finding those connections and give you a summary of what is going on with an API or when a plugin. But
That's true.
pretty much that's all that I use. From there, I try to find my own way.
And
Um,
and and I've been using it also for our, Drupal community work right now, and I would love to talk about that too, Ana Laura, because you have so many plans and anything, and so much that you want to do for the Drupal Houston community, and it's so hard.
that's been a little bit on pause for other things that we are working on. Let's talk about DrupalCon Latin America.
DrupalCon Latin America. I don't know when that's gonna happen. I think we have bigger issues that we're working on right now. All that we're doing is, we talk about this a lot, but I will love to hear again what you think is what's gonna happen with Drupal. We are in a really interesting crossroad because people is being let go, companies are struggling.
These are rough times, definitely, not only for Drupal people or tech people. Um, it's a global thing. We hear from friends in Germany, in South America, the US, even Spain. Well, Spain's been has been on a crisis for a while now, but um, and I don't know how much the AI has influenced this crisis, but people is afraid of investing and people is afraid of who they are hiring. And we've seen hiring process where you get 6, 7, 8 interviews and you have no idea if they are going to hire you or not, or they are going to reject you at the end. And you invest all this energy in whatever is happening there. I think we still have a lot of faith in Drupal. And the Drupal community is a big part of it. The way the last DrupalCon resulted, it was incredible. In a time of crisis, people show up. People that we have 10 years without seeing on a Drupal event was there and was talking about Drupal and was asking how to help. Um, Maybe when I moved here, you just survive a hurricane in Houston. And we were talking about this back then. In Latin America, when there is a hurricane, people start asking to the government, how are you going to help me rebuild my house or clean up my land? And how are you going to give me a new job because I don't have a job anymore because it was flooded? In Houston, people was helping each other. in what was the catch for Houston Strong?
Houston
Um,
Strong.
yeah, the energy was so different, and that's what I felt in Drupal last month. How can we make this work? How can we use AI? How can we reinvent our business so we can work with smaller companies and be still be profitable? How can we connect with other markets that we haven't included until now? And I think that's what team is looking with the international association,
Federation.
international federation. Yeah,
International Federation. Yeah, I think yeah, DrupalCon Atlanta was amazing because well, we launched the initiative, IXP program now. I wish we had more people coming and trying to publish jobs. We have IXPs. We have I have been reached out by several people. It's usually inexperienced people looking for a job, and there are so many opportunities there. But I believe if Drupal is at a crossroads of a chicken and egg constant problem, and I've been saying this for a while. I talk about this is we don't need Drupal CMS to do what you were saying. Go to the smaller markets, go to Latin markets. When I started in Drupal in 2012, Latin America was booming. We got Drupal Picchu. Drupal Picchu was like 100 something people. I mean, it was a lot of people. Drupal Latina was moving. Everybody in Latin America was doing Drupal, or there was a lot of people doing Drupal all the time. And that disappeared. That disappeared with everything that happened. And I believe a friend of mine, this weekend actually, we were talking and he defined it in a fantastic way. We cannot let East and West Coast drive the pricing of Drupal. We became too expensive and we
yeah,
became too enterprisey in terms of price. I don't think it's a problem of the technology or anything because it is, but it's not just that. It just became expensive. And of course, when a crisis comes and tech is in a crisis, everybody stops with whatever doesn't impact the bottom line. And that is, there are not going to be redesigns of a website. There is going to be maintenance, maybe. They're going to stop creating new parts of the website because there is no money. And we're living that. But I love that, and that's the chicken that we want to have again, but we need the egg, which is Drupal CMS, which I love because it makes Drupal easy again and feasible for another line of business. I don't know if you remember the conversation. Where are you when we have the conversation in DrupalCon Atlanta? I can remember a lot. The guy, the person
in
telling me he needed $250,000.
I was busy with your partner. That
Yes.
was his first DrupalCon, so I was taking
Yeah.
him to all the introductory meetings and sessions.
Yeah, first thing I've been talking about rebuilding the Drupal pyramid and, creating the base of the pyramid again that we lost from Drupal 7 to Drupal 8. Actually, during Drupal 8, people said because of the technology got complex. I do think we lost it because we became expensive. Like somebody with a $300 to do a small website, you cannot do it in Drupal. It's not because it's complicated. It's because 300 doesn't pay even 2 hours of a developer or use not to. And and I'm saying that if we build this up, it grows. And somebody came and told me, like, no, I need at least two or three $250,000 contracts a month to survive. I'm like, okay, how many do you get? Like none right now, like exactly. But this person wanted to fix Drupal to revive that amount of money and contracts, which is good. But what was powerful is that he told me nobody can live off a $10,000 project, and I love because Paul was there and he raised his hand like, I can. I'm a
Again,
solo agency and I can live. Give me those $10,000 contracts. And we can do that. And Drupal CMS is interesting. And we were talking about how IXP can help with this, remember? I do believe Drupal CMS can help because of what I call the yaque in Spanish. Now that. And it's like you can start something simple. You can start your simple blog, you can start your simple marketing for a piece of your agency, or inside a big company, somebody in the marketing department can do a POC. And whenever you start something, it's like when you go to the supermarket, and then Laura knows I don't like that, but it's what happens. You go and do the jackets, like, oh, now that we're here, why don't we buy meat? Now what we are here, why don't we see if there is blah? And I see that in Drupal CMS, and you can have IXP people working on that, which is a more affordable resource, and start creating small projects that eventually will grow. Somebody told me that one of the biggest and famous pages in Drupal, and I don't want to name names on companies, started because somebody in the little marketing department did a proof of concept with Drupal.
And
And
we
it
lost that.
became, yeah, and it
Yeah.
became one of the biggest sites in Drupal. So I don't know if you agree.
I think that's one of the biggest differences between the companies, the Drupal companies that are struggling right now with their budget and the ones that they just keep doing it. I work for a small web development focus company that not only does Drupal, but we have been growing our front end team, JavaScript, React, Next.js, and we also support websites in WordPress, Webflow, whatever our clients needs. We we come to the rescue, um, and I think that's not because of my boss, Chris Title. He he does whatever the client needs, and he promised we will do it. But it's because he trusts his team will find a way to solve the issues, the client issues. We are not looking for the big budget project. We have clients for 10, 15 years that may not be the ones that support our business. We are not making a lot of money of them, but we keep helping them. We keep supporting them with the budget they have. We do the most of it. And I think other friends talk with us about that they didn't grow their 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 company excessively. They don't have a lot of expenses, monthly expensive. They work with the work they have. They don't do, oh, now that we are here, we're going to invest all this money having more people that they may need, maybe not.
And it's not that it's
So,
wrong. I don't think that is wrong. I think that is okay. We work a lot in both communities, Latin America and the United States. And what is funny is that give us, both of us, I think, a perspective on what some people, well, I have called U.S. bias. You think, you see your economies, how they are, and you think everybody's like that and they are different, but it also happens the other way. So when we were in the golden age and all the contracts were big and everything was so good, and I was working with one of the biggest companies in Drupal, the Latin Americans will come and tell me that is because they are making Drupal more enterprisey. They are making it more
yep.
complicated. The US is doing it. And I don't think it was a decision by the Drupal community. It was, hey, we were being paid big money, and being paid big money is good. It feels good. If there is a difference between eating at McDonald's or maybe finding the best burger in town and be able to go there, is good. And then you want to keep those customers happy. And also if your experiences, and it comes to these biases, we were biased by the experiences we were having. You need money to contribute to Drupal. You need to be paid a salary. You need to be paid enough to dedicate time. You need to be able to do it. I mean,
Or
you can be a
just have enough money just to relax and grind or help. just a
Exactly.
1 day of your work and not making money for your company, but for the community, making something for the community
Exactly.
for free.
And and if you do that, you are getting it because the problems you're seeing are enterprise. Those are the problems you're seeing, and that was took Drupal here, and that is normal. That is okay. But
Mm.
we didn't want it, but we destroyed, yeah, the base. And I was against that theory when they started saying. I remember 2015, around 2015, friends from Latin America that have been involved in the community a lot were telling me this. And I have to say, 10 years later, they were right. We're paying the price. We're paying the price right now, but we're also doing things. I think that's the positive part. We are pivoting. We're doing Drupal CMS. We're doing Experience Builder. The DA is trying to get more revenue to help smaller companies to give more value. We're trying to create something that is more readily available for whether it is a marketing person in a mid-market company to do something and demonstrate it inside the company versus us or us. And when I said us in this case is Latin Americans, where we're trying to start a company, Palsera, working both here in the US and Latin America. And definitely for Latin America, we need to think in completely different numbers. If we want to go Latam versus Latam, not Latam working for the US. And Drupal CMS is a fantastic opportunity, even the marketplace, templates, recipes, all that we're doing. But everything is happening at the same time. I don't know. You know what I mean?
It's the chicken and egg you were talking about. We need
Yeah.
the marketplace so small companies can buy a template and build a website in a week instead of 2-3 months building
And
in the
for two
front
or three
end,
thousand dollars.
and for $2,000 or $3,000. But if we don't have the small companies that buy the templates, we don't know if the marketplace is going to work, right? and
Exactly,
and
but
I think
we,
that's
we
all
cannot
the
have the
work that.
companies without the marketplace or without Drupal CMS. And we need, more affordable and we need new people. And again, we did IXP, which was a fantastic experience for the two of us because it's seeing it firsthand how a young person that actually put some effort in learning Drupal and was hoping, find a
Find a
job,
job and give
discover
them.
there was none. And but that also gives an opportunity. I was talking to Dries in mid camp, and I'm trying to find ways to demonstrate this thinking, because do believe that the future is not is gonna fix these big companies. I'm not saying that is bad. We went into the big companies, we went into the big budgets, the big projects. That's awesome. I wish we can have one. I wish every company can have one and make money and everybody's happy. But we need the small projects, the mid market, the small budgets. And it's not little project, it's a small budget. Sometimes they're not little. If you are working with a government agency in Colombia, a $20,000 project is a huge project. It's
Yeah,
already for 20,000 is 40 million, 80 million pesos, I believe, which is a big number. It's a big
yeah,
number. It's probably a whole year of salary for a Drupal engineer working for them. That's how it is. And now we have this opportunity, but that needs to happen at the same time. We need the Drupal Association to be able and have money to provide value for the small companies and ways for the people that want to use Drupal to find companies, and everything is happening at the same time. But I do believe we're in a bad moment, but we are in a great moment at the same time because the community is moving.
yeah. That's always amazing, and the fact that a small nonprofit can use the same tool that the government is using to build their websites, it's really amazing that they don't have to pay for that. They they
That
they have to pay for the developers to make it their own, to fill their needs, but the small nonprofit can use the same tool that um, the Olympic Games is using, right? To reach all this market.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of open source. And that's the discussion I have with many people I had in the past when Drupal 8 was starting. It's getting to enterprise. Like, that's what we want from open source. We want the poor entrepreneur in Colombia or in Costa Rica that's starting a little idea to be able to use what today's ECA and AI and the things that the big ones use. And what do he need? What does he need to do? Or pay? Nothing. Just get
Yeah.
Drupal. Use Drupal
And
CMS. It's there.
remember what this girl said when she was helping us building the IXP, that if we were going to do that on WordPress, because she came from WordPress community to learn Drupal, and we were implementing some custom modules for the IXP with ECA, and she say, if I have to use this for WordPress, if I have to do this for WordPress, I will have to pay thousands of dollars each year to be able to use this tool.
She was talking about ECA, and
Yeah, she
yeah,
was
ECA is a
specifically talking
fantastic
about it.
module, and Jürgen is a fantastic maintainer, and she was talking about she's helping us. She's one of the IXPs that we want to help locate and find companies that are looking to get 250 credits for an IXP. She's ready and she's amazing. And she was helping us and she saw ECA and I told her, no, this is what I'm doing. And yeah, what she said is that if this was a WordPress plugin, it will be a 1,000 to a 5,000 a
A
month
year
or a
or
year
more.
plugin. And this is amazing that somebody's doing it. So Drupal is doing the right things.
Yeah, I think so. I think we're doing what we have to do, and people is showing up, and that's amazing.
But we have a problem. I think we have a problem, and that's why I nominated myself for the board again. I've seen this problem since the beginning. This is my third nomination. One was after we did DrupalCon Latin America. Another one was last year
Two
or
years
last
ago.
time, 2 years ago. Thank you. And now, and this is the problem we have, is we've been and remember when I was talking about it's not bad, but these the experiences that we have. So when things for Drupal were developed, and I was working for Acquia, and I can see the developers. I know them; they're my friends. I consider them my friends. They they're not trying to make Drupal enterprise. It's what they see. We work with enterprises. So those are the challenges that we need to solve. You solve the challenges that you know, not the challenges that you don't know. It's hard to do that, right? And I always seen this bias. And if you remember, we were in DrupalCon Lille, and Faye called this diversity inclusion buff, and we went there. And we had this powerful moment where she asked, it's the first time I heard somebody asking this to other people outside the US, is, do you feel that we are Americanizing Drupal too much?
And they
and
say yes.
and 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 they say yes, and the person
Yeah.
gave a powerful example that I don't want to it's not needed to be mentioned right here, but it was like they're talking about this, and for our culture that was shocking, that was really not good. And it took me back. It's the same when we did DrupalCon Latin America. I remember I was so excited. I was super excited because I help a lot and I had ideas, and I knew the prices that we were paying. I did not the finances or anything, but I was thinking my quick numbers in my head, like, oh, we did good. Then we even maybe make money. And I went to talk to the Drupal Association, and oh, we lost a lot of money. Like, how? And I started doing numbers. Look, we paid so much for the hotel. We paid so much for this. We did simultaneous translation on that one. I managed to convince them to pay for that and found a good price for that. Um, we did. We paid so much for everything. I was kind of whatever I knew we paid. What am I missing? Is like, oh, we have to charge Lauren, the person that was helping, salary to the con. Like, what?
But they
Yes,
share the full salary
they
her
charge the
her
full
full.
salary, not a portion. But
Yeah.
she's organizing. two DrupalCons at the time. DrupalCon Europe was
Europe.
part of the Drupal Association. Drupal Latin America and and DrupalCon Asia was in the making at the same time. And I'm like, why? Like that's the way accounting works. And now that I live in the United States, I understand it. It is how it works, but it's not what is fair because
Yeah,
the
she
numbers
was
are
not full
different.
time. You will have to have three people,
Well,
one full
you will
time
do
for
that in
Europe.
Colombia at the same time. You could
Yeah,
do that in Colombia in the same way, sorry, not the same time, but that
yeah,
salary will be a salary like yours. Like
yeah,
you were mentioning in Costa Rica, 18,000
yeah,
a year, not 90,000 or
yeah.
something like that. I don't know what was the number, but it was something like that. And of course, there was no way on Colombian prices we were going to make that money. There was no way. It was the first one, it was the small one. It's supposed to happen again and then grow. That's what I believe is going to happen. But we've been having that kind of issue forever. And now that we actually need to be more global, can you say that? More global? Maybe. Okay, we need to be more global.
Really global. In UX, we say when we train developers or when we teach developers about UX, we emphasize that developers, we are not the customers. We cannot test the tools. We cannot make the decisions if a tool is easy to use or is not, because we are biased. Until you get in an interview where you have somebody completely strange to computers world and computer development or software development, you understand how much people struggle with your applications. But if you try to use your head to understand the process, it will make sense for you. It's the same with the International Federation. Until
That's
we
a good
have
example.
people from every content that feels it's not being involved or it should be involved, until we have this organization, when we have the voices there, we won't be able to understand what is going on in Africa or India or South America.
Yeah, and you know, you and I were from Latin America, so we have the experiences in Latin America. We've heard that it's similar in different countries, but it's still different.
Yes.
And that I think is what I want, and I believe it's, you know, you support me a lot, and you said you need to do this. I was struggling in between doing it or not being in the Drupal board election, but I start hearing it, you know, like, but it's just a $250 fee. Like, look at the MVP for the marketplace. It's just $395 to put a template. $395 is what probably some people in Latin America has for a full website.
Yes,
If
and it's
that's just the
very
fee,
even inside of Latin America is very different. $300 could be a minimum salary in Colombia, but the minimum salary in Costa Rica is double that.
a
And
month.
in Costa Rica is I know is a special use case because we have a, a huge relationship with American companies, and we have a lot of Costa Ricans working for American companies in Costa Rica, and the companies are and have offices in Costa Rica. So it's all a different
Yeah, different.
case.
It's different. In
But
that
if you
makes because
go to Ecuador, to Peru, to they even have less money. They make less money. So it can be a lot for them. And if you go to any marketplace where you can buy templates for WordPress or any other HTML base templates, there are templates of $15 and $20, and there are templates of hundreds of dollars. So for me, I would like to have in this marketplace all this umbrella of different options and prices.
yeah, I agree. But anyway, the point is the decisions are being made for the longest time on the board, and this is good people again. These are friends of us, people that we know, people that we know are good. It's not that there is bad intentions, but
Yeah.
it's different experiences, experiences that they don't know is real. It is not
It's real
it
for
is
them.
not normal for an American person to think that you cannot trust somebody. Like we know if we don't, that can happen in Latin America. It is not normal to know that actually $10 is a lot of money
Yeah.
in so many contexts. In even in Costa Rica, like you see of this problem in Costa Rica, I see it and I see it like a parallel there because with so many, companies that are working only with tech people, this is interesting. It's only with tech people, so it's not the whole Costa Rica that is getting that. And there are a lot of Americans going to live there. Same is happening in Medellin, in Colombia. Same is happening in other areas in Colombia. And that makes the thing so expensive that now those persons that we know in Costa Rica, that we know in Colombia, that do not work in technology, do not work for international companies, are struggling
Yeah.
because now everything is expensive. Of course, it's cheaper for us. We are in the US. I mean, $10 is money, but not something bad. Remember the story of my son and the Ubers?
Yes, we pay $2, $3 Ubers in Bogota in a traffic jam that you can drive for an hour an Uber, and you end up with a bill that is $2.
Yeah,
And Santi will give them $2 tips.
because
100%
he
tip.
because he could not stand it like that. He's just
He drove
driving,
for an hour and I'm paying it $2. And we
but it's
know the company takes a big percentage of that. And
yeah, and it's because
gasoline
he
and car
knows.
maintenance.
Yeah, it's because he knows what our family, our cousins that don't work in technology are struggling with.
Yeah.
So on the board, going back to Drupal, that's what I want to bring to the table. Not a bad situation, not a bad point of view. Is these experiences that we have, and when I say we, is me, Ana Laura, my son, other Latin Americans that we talk a lot, a few people from other regions that have reached out to me during a DrupalCon or during DrupalCon Lille. I have people from Africa reaching out to me, telling us how they are not listened to. They have the
Yeah.
same struggles and they're not listened to. Or people from Asia. We had people from Asia, but it's usually companies that are already working from Latin America as well with American companies, so they make American money, which
Yeah.
is a different economy than where they actually living. And now we need these economies. Now we need this global economy of small budgets, medium budgets, large budgets, not just large budgets. Anyway, that's what I think about it happening, and that's what we're trying to do with the company, right? Like also help these Latin Americans that do not work with American companies because in many cases they don't speak the language. It's a different world. That's all I want to say.
And I think we are over the time already.
Yeah, I believe so.
So
So
time to go.
yeah, I love talking to you about this, and this space was amazing for everybody listening. This happens pretty much every day in the car. The car is kind of the place where we talk because when we are at home, we're either working or if we need to take some time, we will be doing something, and Laura will be with her plants. I will be talking to my son or probably trying to play a little game
Burgers.
or making burgers. And when we are in the car, we talk like this, and we can talk for hours. So